How to find love after being single forever. In this video, you will discover my secret hacks on what to do if you get stuck in a rut and you can't see from the inside out, you think all hope is lost. I will actually teach you how to turn that around and attract the right man for you. I'm, of course, Antia, founder and creator of the Magnetize Your Man method. And look, if this is the channel where we magnetize your man so that the man you want desires and, yes, pursues you forever. And of course, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell as well so you get notified for more juicy videos coming your way. So let's go ahead and dive right into how to find love after being single forever. Number 5, really exciting, is the past does not equal the future. So first of all, I'm super excited to talk about this topic because I was single my entire life. It seemed like an eternity until I met my husband, Brody. So I can really emphasize what that feels like for you. And the past does not equal the future has to be a motto for you. Because if you go and you say, well, based on the last 10 years, based on the last 20 years, like if you actually predict the future based on what happened in the past, like you're right, there is no hope. However, it is actually very inaccurate. Like the past has nothing to do with the future if you can make a distinction, right? If you can actually see that everything the brain remembers, right? Like, it's like you can see, okay, I remember that, but it doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen next because I was behaving in a certain way, maybe in an avoidant way, maybe in an anxious way, maybe in an insecure way that I didn't know how to handle. But now I'm a different person. Now I hired a dating coach, or I finally finished a relationship book, or I got myself into a workshop, or you did something, right? Like you want to give yourself like some evidence. Like, what did I do that actually shows that the past does not equal the future? So when I was single my entire life, right? Like I was like, wait a minute. I go to self-development workshops, right? I volunteer at church. I put myself out there. I do things in different ways. So build evidence around the case why the past does not equal the future. I'm so excited to talk about this topic. Number 4, recall a successful time. So what of course happens is if we are in this rut where we are not attracting the right man for us, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because your unconscious expectation is, well, I didn't meet the man yesterday or last week or last month or last year. And so it's easy to just stay in that track as well and just, wake up with the same thoughts. And most of the time, we have the same thoughts. I think 80% of the time we have the same thoughts. Okay, so that's a lot of times, the same thoughts over and over again, the same images, the same stories. And what you're not doing, because remember, the brain deletes, distorts, and generalizes reality. So what it does in that moment is it deletes because it doesn't take into account all the times when you were actually successful in dating, even if it was short term, even if it was for an evening, even if it was for a holiday, even if when you were 15, I don't care when it was, but recall a successful time when you were actually pursued or when you had like an incredibly amazing, fun, heartwarming, opening phone call with a man that you were interested in. Okay, so you want to actually go with that. And the reason why is because now the brain is saying, okay, what you focus on expands. So we're focusing on where you're successful. There must be more of that. Let's find out where there is more. And also what it does, it shifts you internally and emotionally, right? So you start to feel actually more hopeful. You actually start to radiate a different kind of energy, love, confidence. You feel connected to those positive emotions. And that, of course, has you also attract a different reality into your life. After all, we create the experience of our reality. Now, of course, again, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Number 3, and this is what I used to do all the time. So the mistake that women make is when they get stuck in the rut and they just repeat the same patterns over and over again. And then, by the way, then they have, of course, the fitting girlfriends with that as well, who have their little martini. I'm just thinking Sex in the City, for example, right? And you're like actually commiserate together in your misery, right? But you don't want to do that. You don't want to have friends who reinforce, yes, you know what? There is no good man out there. Or you know what? Like, you should be single. Hey, like, you should become a lesbian. You should, so just all those jokes that are actually slightly resentful towards the man. Like, no, let's not do that, right? But actually see, okay, like, let's actually focus on the inside. So what I did, instead of focusing on the outside where nothing was happening, obviously, I went within. I went, for example, to YouTube. And I would type in like, inspirational stories or calling in my soulmate and watching mind movies. And I would just flood my system, right? This is also like the secret, the law of attraction, that the internal reality became so much stronger for me than the external reality. As a matter of fact, I remember a time where the internal reality became so strong that I didn't know anymore that what I felt on the inside had already occurred. So time and space had actually collapsed, right? And then, of course, it was just not as to surprise that I started to attract men into my life that were actually pursuing me, that they were consistent. And it was a whole different experience, and I needed to prepare my nervous system for it. But it happened, right? I actually found love because I actually said, I'm going to focus on the inside first, right? I actually listened to meditations instead of calling my girlfriend and saying, well, you know what? I'm still single. You're still single. What are we going to do? Let's have a glass of wine. No, I would wake up in the morning and I would discipline myself and I would play love songs. That's another thing. This is actually a really good one when it talks about focusing on the inside. I would turn off all the breakup songs, all the suffering songs, the longing songs, all of that. I would just turn it off and I would only turn on songs that were inspiring, right? That were motivating. That was about like, she's finding the love and she is so happy. Or I watched the Hallmark movie. All right. Number 2, this is one of my favorite tools on the whole wide world. And I teach this to my VIP clients, which is, what else could this mean? So you see, the quality of life we live is based on the interpretations we make from what happens. So it's not what happens, because life happens. It's unpredictable. But what interpretation are you making, right? Like, you can make an interpretation that justifies why you should be single your whole life. Maybe you had an emotionally unavailable parent. Maybe you had a narcissistic parent. Maybe you had an abusive ex-husband. Whatever the case may be, right? You could make a case why you should be single forever. Or you could say, this is the exact reason why I'm so passionate about being in a relationship, right? I'm so passionate about healing all those parts inside of myself, connecting to God, so I actually attract the right man for myself. So, for example, let's say a man ghosts on you, right? So you would say, oh, see, I'm not worthy, I'm not visible, I don't deserve better, and so on. Or you could say, what else could this mean? Well, what it could mean is that rejection can also be God's protection or redirection to something even bigger. I have to tell you, some men that rejected me, now looking back, I am singing a hallelujah to them, because they don't even compare even closely to my incredible husband. But of course, I didn't know that. But you know who knows? God knows, right? So when you actually say, what else could this mean? You actually open up the closet to a plethora of possibilities. After all, Dr. Joe Dispenza says, like 99% of, well, actually more than 99.9% of the human atom is space, is potential, is possibility. So when you say, what else could this mean? all those potentialities and all those possibilities can actually reveal themselves in the most incredible ways possible. Now, if you want to learn more about how this actually practically looks like, hey, join me on my Magnetize Your Man Masterclass. We're going to dive right in. We have already over 300 women registered, so it's going to be a party, mymclass.com, and it'll also be in the description as well. And number one, this is one of my absolute favorites as well. Another tool I teach all the time is shop for examples. So what I would do when I was single, I would actually find stories of other women who were single forever, right? Who had a really hard time dating. And so this is like really powerful because you actually tell the brain, again, you're making a case, right? Like, oh, wait a minute. It happened for this person. It happened for that person. And then you know what ended up happening? That's right. I actually ended up even meeting particular people that told me their stories that was so inspiring. For example, one night I was at Chuck E. Cheese. I was taking care of a friend's child. And this older man sat across from me. I said, what's this older man like? He's like, oh, it's a little creepy. I don't know, right? And but I'm like, pretty safe. I'm at Chuck E. Cheese, right? And he's like, are you with your soulmate? And I said, no. And he said, are you praying for your soulmate? So first of all, for me to even attract that into my reality, okay, isn't that just incredible? It's like almost like an angel, right? And I said, yeah, totally, I do. And he's like, yeah, keep praying, because that's what I did. And I met my wife when I was 29, and I proposed to her within a week. I'm not even kidding you, right? And we're like happily married. She's right over there with our grandkids and all the things. And I said, wow, I just knew that was a sign from God. It was like there's this really great book called When God Winks on Love. So I really call it like a God wink. And I said, can I talk to your wife, right? So, we have always like all our doubts. So he actually walked me over to his wife. And I said, how did you know that this guy is not completely insane, right? Like having proposed. And she's like, I just felt safe. It just felt right, right? And of course, they had both prayed to God, and they had opened themselves up, and they said, what else could this mean? They were shopping for examples. They're keeping their hopes up. They're staying positive. They're staying engaged in their life and attracted each other in. So just what an amazing, amazing story. Now, of course, if you want to learn more about how to get the same results like that, take our free Magnetize Your Man quiz at mymquiz.com. Now, of course, if you haven't watched this video already, watch next. When a man deeply loves you, he will start saying these 5 things. Ladies, I enjoyed so much shooting this video for you. Lots of love, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.